Yo, 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 the coolest Santa's in town this year, man. So you better get your cookies and scotch ready for tonight, because Santa's going to be coming to town and he's not going to be wanting any milk, man. You better have some whiskey or some scotch ready for me. And this year ain't about the good people. If you're naughty, if you're on my naughty list, that's the one who's going to get paid tonight, man. So why don't we get started with this cool Christmas video? Oh man, so you got me working on Christmas Eve. What's going on? Well, I just thought might as well, give you guys some gift for Christmas. So today, we are going to be discussing one of our millionth video on Navamsa. And today's video is on understanding the conflict, I should say, of a planet in birth and Navamsa chart. I've been talking and advocating about the Navamsa chart or the divisional charts, in the past literally 5-6 years now. And so today, I wanted to show you as to what a planet does from your birth chart to the Navamsa chart. How does the energy of the planet transfers into your Navamsa? What is it that is happening with the planet from the birth chart to the Navamsa chart, which kind of reveals the inner personality of you? More than even the spouse, it kind of reveals the subconscious, unconscious personality of you, the behavior of you that you don't even realize. Unless you record yourself like a reality show, you will not be able to understand that how Navamsa works. Once you watch yourself literally for like a month, watch like a recorded video of you and what you do and how you talk and what you say and how you feel, you'll be like, man, that is right. That's my Navamsa position. And compared to my last video, when I talk about understanding the true dignity of the planets that I just made 3 days ago or 4 days ago, where I talk about, let's say, Venus in all the divisional charts, how it's going to behave when it's in a certain sign in a birth chart or compared to any divisional charts, okay? But this is specifically for Navamsa chart. And it's a very simple concept. However, do not ask me for any mathematical calculations. I don't think I can probably even do 2 + 2 now at my age. I mean, mathematics is not my game, okay? And so especially when I read all these articles of like 12 years old mastering like the IQ test and taking like advanced calculus theorems, man, that sucks. But then again, I got to remind myself, everybody has their own strength. My strength ain't no mathematics. So for all of the people who are trying to understand this concept, just look at your birth chart, what sign your planet is in the birth chart, and what sign it is in the Navamsa chart. So let's say if your sun is in the sign of Aries in the birth chart, but it's in the sign of Libra in the Navamsa chart, that's it. That's all you need to know. There's a way to calculate that. You divide the zodiac sign in 9 divisions, which is 3.20 degrees, blah, blah, blah. And you're not interested in that. For that, if you just want to get automatic calculation, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link here. So once you get the chart, right on the second page, you will see the birth chart. You will see the Navamsa chart and the moon chart. So the Navamsa, the D9 chart in Vedic astrology, it's given utmost significance because it truly tells the dignity of your planets. So you know how sun is exalted in Aries, right? It's exalted, it's badass. But then in Navamsa, it's in the sign of Libra, which shows that the quality of the sun, the strength of the sun has weakened in the Navamsa. So it's like a funnel down effect. Now, it's not all the way funneled like the D60 chart, but it's funneled down to the most dignified, sequence. So what do I mean by understanding the true nature of your planets from birth to Navamsa? Very simple, actually. And I'm surprised I didn't make a video on this. I might have, but I must have just quickly mentioned it. But let's say if your sun okay, is in the sign of Libra in your birth chart. Okay, so you got Sun in the ascendant in the sign of Libra. So Sun, according to astrological texts, considered debilitated. Lack of ego, lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem. Perhaps not a good relationship with a father if Sun is between, 8 to 12 degrees especially. Shows it's very hard for you to compromise because Sun is the king. And now you put Sun in a position of compromising, which is Libra. Negotiations. King doesn't want to negotiate. He just wants to give order and say, that's it. This is what I want and this is what you're going to give to me. This is why Sun is hurting in the sign of Libra. But now Sun is in the sign of Aries in the Mansha. And I've discussed many times that yes, your Sun receives strength. Yes, later down the line, you will become more confident. You will become more, egoistic, and you will develop your identity in this life. However, there's something else that is happening with the concept of Libra and Aries. What is it? Sun is in the sign of Libra in the birth chart. In your Namansha chart, Sun is in Aries, which is 7 houses away from Libra. Okay, so understand this concept. Very simple, but you may have to watch this twice, this video. Why not? Of course, you all want to watch me like 10 times a day. You love me. So because it's 7 places away from itself, what does that tell you about you attaining your higher ego and self-esteem in this life? It shows that only through relationships, marriage, partnerships, negotiations, you're going to be able to understand your ego. And you're going to find yourself. Like if you notice people with Sun in Libra, very adamant about relationships. They love being in relationships. As much as they hate compromise, as much as they hate taking orders, they love relationships. But because Sun is exalted, 7 places away from the Sun, shows that your exaltation of your Sun, which is pretty much you, your ego, is going to come through relationships. The more you do business, the more you try to talk to other people, the more you're in a romantic relationship with someone, it's going to develop that ego. And this also shows that the people that you run into in terms of relationships, partnerships, are a mirror image of you. Sometimes people don't get their mirror image of the person that they marry. But this Sun in this position will, or any other planet, because Libra and Aries are directly opposite to each other. So if this is Libra and this is Aries, I'm looking in the mirror. And I'm trying to find myself through the mirror of Aries. That means I'm looking for this one individual who is like me. So I'm going to make friendships with people who are like me. I'm going to be wanting to be in relationships with people who are like me. If I run into other people, fine, yes, no, but I'm really comfortable with that opposite one. Okay, so that's a way to understand this. I'll give you another example. Any planet, take any planet. Sun, Venus, Mercury, Rahu, Ketu, anything. Like let's say you take Venus for example. Okay. Venus is, let's say, in the sign of Sagittarius. Okay. In the birth chart. Venus is in the sign of Scorpio in your Namansha chart. What does that tell you about your relationships, and what does that tell you about your spouse and your behavior towards spouse? So now use this example again. Don't look at how the energy of Sagittarius is transforming into Scorpio. No. Look where Scorpio is from Sagittarius. Scorpio is 12th from Sagittarius. And what is 12th from any house in astrology? This is basic 101 of astrology. 12th house from any house become expenditure of that house, loss of that house. So when Venus is in Sagittarius in the birth chart, in the sign of Scorpio in the Namansha chart, Besides, however, I don't care about the sign placement of Venus. Okay, we've already discussed that in my previous videos. What this is simply doing, that in relationships, in your partnerships, in marriage, you're going to feel like your energy is being exhausted. Always. Yes, you love your wife, okay? You love your husband. But because your Venus's sign is 12th from its placement from the birth chart, the marriage just feels like you're always just spending more money. Energy is being spent. You're putting effort into it because you just feel like you always have to regain that energy in the marriage. And this can happen from anything. Let's say if you have a Scorpio Venus in the birth chart. Okay? Venus goes into the sign of Libra in the Navamsa chart. Fine. Venus gains excellent strength in Navamsa. But what is happening? Sign of Libra is 12th from Scorpio. So when you are in a situation of marriage, these people will feel many things when it's 12th from each other. They will feel like their energy is being exhausted. Their energy when it comes to love, relationship may be exhausting. They may have a lot of expense coming up. But also, 12th house is the spiritual, unconscious side, subconscious side of ourself. What happens with this is that you will get a partner that you always wanted subconsciously. Subconsciously, you always wanted this partner, and your partner is going to lead you to understanding yourself spiritually even better. So look at any planet, Saturn, Venus, Mars, Mercury, whoever. Okay? Let's say your moon is in Aries. Moon is in the birth chart in the sign of Aries, right? Your mind is very active. You're very impulsive. You always have to be active in what you're doing. You don't have time to smell the roses. But then, moon is in, let's say, the sign of Cancer. It's in its own sign of Cancer. So what does this tell you about your mind? This tells us that whether you're married or not, you could be single for the rest of your life. But when you mature up in your life, okay, you are going to find comfort in your mind. You're going to find that peace of mind through marriage. The activities of the birth chart, the impulsiveness of the birth chart is always going to be somehow emotionally connected with the home. It's somehow going to always find its way to happiness and peace of mind and comfort in the marriage. Like your moon, which is active, whenever it's in home, it finds its peace, quiet. You suddenly feel like a Cancer moon when you're in a home and with your spouse. Why? Because from Aries, moon is in 4th sign to itself. So it finds that comfort. Take another example of Aries. Let's say you have Sun in Aries. Okay? Sun is exalted beautifully in the birth chart. You're a very confident person. But then Sun is in the sign of Scorpio in the Navamsa. So what is happening here? Sun is 8th from its position in the Navamsa. Which means that in order for you to maintain your personality, your confidence, your ego, you're going to have to go through transformation. And at the same time, it's always hard for you to keep your personality and your ego intact, because somehow you always slip into that 8th house matter. Psychologically, somehow, either relationships or interacting with people, authorities, government, just makes you feel drained, where you just kind of lose yourself psychologically. Your ego finds itself in a major turmoil. And once you transform yourself from who you were in the birth chart to something completely different through the Namansha, that's where the sun will help you. So if, let's say, throughout your life, you felt like you're a confident person, but internally you're just really kind of screwed up. Okay? What does that tell you? What would I tell this person when I see this type of a sun? I'm like, you're going to have to transform yourself spiritually. Take interest in occult, learn something of interest like astrology, numerology, and you watch this person is always going to be interested in that subject. They're always going to be 1 o'clock in the AM researching on aliens and conspiracies and occult and tantra and magic and Wicca. Because internally, their personality is wanting for that. The more they know about that, they don't realize. You don't realize you're fueling your sun every day because of that. Whenever you read some mystery book or novel, and you're learning some, let's say, secret of Illuminati and Freemasons from Dan Brown, you feel more confident because now you know the information which is hidden. You're going to find more confidence through hidden occultic information. But remember, Scorpio has its other duties besides this occult. Scorpio represents psychological baggage. Scorpio represents, hidden secrets and our sexual activities. Perhaps even our demonic personality is there. And we have to control it. And the way to control it is not to go on the side of killing someone, which is also Scorpio, but it's in the side of learning something which is secretive. So when you look at your planets, don't just say, oh, okay, you got sun in the sign of Aries, but it's in the sign of Scorpio in the Namansha chart. It's in a friendly sign. So yes, this is what's going to happen. No, look at which place, how many places it's away from its sign, from the birth to Namansha. Because that is what's going to lead that sun to its ultimate identity. Let's say Saturn is in the sign of, I don't know, I'll make it up again. It's in the sign of Aries. Okay. So Saturn is debilitated. It's hard for you to be organized and disciplined and find your structure in life. It's hard for you to understand principles in your youth or when you were growing up. And this is something that is constantly working. Saturn is in the sign of Virgo in your Namansha. So besides whatever we'll say about what Saturn is doing from Aries to Virgo, it's 6th sign from itself. Which means in order for you to find your ethics, your discipline and organization and structure and your ability to work is going to come through struggle. Facing enemies. It's going to come through helping other people. Helping the unprivileged, the poor, the handicapped. In marriage, you're going to be facing struggles to maintain that marriage. You're going to have to be very detail-oriented as to what your actions are, what you're doing in the marriage. Because Saturn is 6th from itself, so it's going to find itself 6th from itself. The more you give yourself to other people after marriage, the more that improvement in marriage will come, especially let's say if you're in Saturn Mahadasha. Saturn is active. So now debilitated Saturn is active in the birth chart. Saturn in Virgo is active in the Namansha chart and maybe other divisional charts. But especially when it comes to your understanding yourself, your work ethics, your discipline, your organization skills, especially not only personally, but in your marriage, it's going to require a lot of detail orientation. It's going to require a lot of work. You are going to have to face some struggles. And through being a routine, repetitive person, making your habits routine, repetitive, your Saturn is going to be improving in the birth chart. So if you're not ethical, if you're not disciplined, organized, you're going to have a habit of it. Same thing, we can, say that with Venus. Venus is in Aries in the birth chart, but Virgo in the Navamsa, which shows Venus is sixth from itself. Marriage is going to have to be this event where you're going to have to do routine things to improve the condition of the marriage. Always, make sure you get, let's say, flower to your spouse every Thursday. You have to face struggles and be very detail oriented, very critical of how you look and what you do in marriage. It's not saying it's bad. See, we see that as astrologers, we're like, oh, Venus is in the sign of Virgo, man, you're going to have struggle in marriage. The reason why astrologer automatically says that, because we as human beings and as astrologer automatically know that this person's not going to be following what the Venus is really wanting them to do. Nobody does. You're going to watch this video today, you're going to forget it within 2 days. You're not going to be following the steps of, oh yeah, well, my sun is here and it's there. No, these things are automatically going to be there in subconscious. And because it's going to be frustrating, because Venus is frustrated in Virgo, it's going to be hard for you to understand that and take the right steps. And this is why astrology is the science of light. Because look, I'm showing you the light that, hey, this is your Venus. Venus is debilitated, yet you can still maintain your marriage. You can still get married and find that spouse, but it is going to require some struggle, routine to be taking place. You're going to have to help, let's say, unprivileged women. You help virgins, feed virgins, because Virgo is a sign of virgin. So what you're doing, you're feeding. You have to feed your planet. When you feed that planet, the stomach of the Venus in the birth chart is being filled. Same thing, like Venus is in Aquarius in your birth chart, in the Pisces and the Navamsa. Well, beautiful Venus. Great exalted Venus. You'll have a great partnership. But you don't realize this person feels exhausted in marriage because Pisces is 12th from Aquarius. Your actual Venus in the birth chart and your behavior in the marriage feels drained. And at the same time, you feel like you're losing energy. But also the good things come too with this Venus, where you feel like the more you work towards marriage, the spiritually you understand yourself better. Same thing, like you can take exalted moon in Taurus, right? Moon is exalted in Taurus beautifully. We can even give it at 3 degrees, the maximum exaltation of moon. But moon is in Sagittarius in the Navamsa chart. Besides whatever these two signs represents, moon is now 8th from itself. Meaning your true understanding of things when you think. You have this balanced approach to things, but then underneath, whenever you get into relationships, when you're married, or when you are dealing with people, internally, your mind is having a lot of philosophical baggage. You feel you have too many beliefs in your life that somehow always keep you away from having that peace of mind. Because Sagittarius is our belief. We create too many beliefs with this moon. So if you have moon in Taurus and it's in Sagittarius in the Navamsa, it's very good position. Yes, good things will happen with this moon. But also, there's always going to be negative from any positive. So if you have this, actually comment below. Let me know how your planets are and what is it that you behave, especially if you're over like 35, 36, you have matured, you have understood yourself. Because that exalted moon is there. Great. You don't really lose your mind that much. You don't get depressed that much. yet you are still confused because of the fact you're carrying that too many of that baggage. You're like, I believe in this, I believe in this, I believe in that. What the hell am I believing in? Because it's 8th from itself, it is going to be that 8th house sucking energy. And that's going to have to transform into believing in something just hardcore in one thing than 10 different things. So all the Namanchas videos that I made, okay, well, your sun is debilitated in the birth chart, exalted in the birth chart, great, awesome. You're going to find your ego later on in life and all this is going to happen. But how is it happening? It's 7th from itself. Same thing with any planet, Mars. Mars is in the sign of Gemini in your birth chart. Mars is exalted in the Namansha chart in the sign of Capricorn. But in order for you to find that absolute, sheer willpower and strength and ability to fight, really drains you out psychologically. You have to psychologically tap in and kind of like transform that Mars to really bring that strength out. It's like Mars is going in a deep hole, transforming himself, kind of like how Iron Man, he was in the cave building that thing and became Iron Man, but it took a lot of hard work, like a lot of psychological, attack on him in the jail. If you watch that Iron Man 1 movie, you'll know the beginning of the movie. That's the same thing. And Mars in the sign of Gemini is, very aggressive with speech, says what it wants to, very curious about attaining information first. And because it's exalted, you'll be like, wow, you have a great, powerful Mars to attain all this information. But the thing is, the process of attaining that information will drain this person psychologically, and it's Mars's energy. Like they'll really have to, bring that strength out from within. It's not the easiest placement for this particular Mars versus, let's say, if your Mars is in Aries in the birth chart, exalted in the sign of Capricorn in the Namansha chart, because it's 10th from itself. It's no longer the 8th house placement from itself. It's the 10th house placement. So you see, you got to understand these dynamics, and these are little tidbits that you always add up when you're doing like a full reading for someone doing horoscope matching. Let's say when you do horoscope matching, you look at all the things of both charts. You look at the Venus, you look at, where Venus is placed compared to the other person's Venus. But then you also have to understand how is this person going to behave in their relationship. So you look at the ascendant and where the moon is placed, how many houses it is from the birth to the moon. This concept that I'm talking about. And that tells you your deeper inner self, who you are. So like when we say 8th house is a Dushtana house, one of the bad houses, and represents transformation. It has its goods too. It represents, treasure and lottery wins and sudden ups. But again, you just use that same concept of basic astrology, where 1st, 5th, and 9th place is awesome. 1, 4th, 7th, 10th place from itself is very solid and firm. 6th, 8th, and 12th may represent struggle, transformation, and some losses to attain whatever you want. Just do that. And that's how you also read Namansha. All right. So guys, I hope this has made a little bit more sense about Namansha. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your planets are placed in the birth chart to the Namansha chart, all my books, consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.